All right. Liz Fedorak, thank you so much for joining today. Today, we're going to cover how Ethique works with Because to improve the conversion rate and personalization of your e-commerce store. But first, I'd love to welcome you and hear a little bit more about your background and your role at the company and what you do
Sure.
at it.
So I've been with Ethique for almost 4 years now. Ethique has been around for 10 years. The first few years of that was really led by our founder. We operate in four different regions, with US being our primary focus right now in terms of growth. And I work in all areas of digital marketing and have in the past. And here at Ethique, at this point, I own all of our website, like our e-com sales and SEO. And then I'm an integral part of the brand marketing team, and then just working to see how all the channels work together in terms of like performance marketing and growth marketing for the entire brand.
All right. Fantastic. And so we're going to dive into personalization and really some of the e-commerce strategies that you're leading that ultimately lead to growing revenue. But how have you thought about personalizing the customer experience before you started with
Sure.
Because?
We definitely, because we have different regions, we tend to try to think about those regions differently and how the audience and behavior would differ from region to region. We were quite limited in terms of personalization before we used Because, especially from like a result perspective. Like there's lots of things where we would test and we would just basically record the performance of it before and then turn something on and record the performance afterwards. But we are really working on personalization in terms of product pages, imagery, changing up like our homepage, like making sure people land on a page, whether it be directed from a paid ad or from an email, to try to make sure we're putting like the highest conversion rate or most click items at the top of a page. But again, that was really focused on like turning something on, recording the performance, and then turning something new on and comparing the two.
Got it. And then are you also using that data in Klaviyo to create a different experience on site with
Yes, we
Because?
are currently. It's really important to us to utilize and kind of lead people, not only lead people to taking the hair quiz, but also like that follow up aspect of after they've taken the hair quiz and maybe they haven't purchased, or maybe they purchased a shampoo but haven't purchased a conditioner. So, yes, currently with Because we use messaging that's on our PDP, we use it at the collection level to have like a badge on a product after somebody takes a hair quiz to say that this was their perfect match. Or even if it's somebody new that lands on site, we're directing people to the hair quiz through banners, because we know personally that compared to the session of somebody who has taken the hair quiz versus not, we're seeing anywhere from 3 to 5 times higher conversion rate for a customer that takes the hair quiz. So it's really important to us that we're weaving in the hair quiz in a lot of different aspects of that consumer journey throughout the site.
And I'd love to hear like how that process went because sometimes there's a heavy lift. It requires developers to get involved. So Because makes it easier so that once you have Because installed, you no longer need to rely on your dev team in order to make these changes. But what's been your experience with implementing Because and specifically around the zero party quiz data and the
Sure.
personalization?
I mean, the preliminary actual implementation or integration was super easy, and it wasn't really a lift on my end whatsoever in terms of like setting up these like individual campaigns that we're kind of alluding to, where we set up messaging on a PDP or things like that. It's really, really easy to set up the campaigns. The one thing I really like to for development aspects is that I don't need development to put something on my PDP or put something on my collection page. I'm able to just click through the options of like display rules and design rules through Because to set up exactly what I want and exactly where I want. There's out of the box options, like even on the PDP, for example, below the product title, below the shop pay thing, above add to cart, below add to cart. So there are out of the box positions. But one thing I really like too is just because sometimes those out of the box options don't cover everything you need, is that you're actually able to prompt through because take yourself to your website and kind of click anywhere that you want and create new positions. So for me, it's been really great because there's certain things I've wanted to explore developing. And because we're a smaller brand and we're growing fast, our development hours are worth their weight in gold. So there's certain things that I'm able to get up quicker and also like test and see the success of it. And even if I wanted to turn that into a permanent element that I develop full time, I could, but I also could just use because and, pause those elements if they're not relevant during the sale. So it's been a really easy lift. It's been an easy learning curve.
Love to dig into some of the particular campaigns and the results that you're seeing. So if we could start maybe with the dynamic bar based on the quiz results. So you kind of mentioned it before, but what are some of the measurable impacts that you've seen, the numbers that you're able to
Sure.
share?
We have seen just from the bar itself for certain, we've done it for basically all of our hair concerns and types, but the most successful one we're seeing is driving a 26% conversion. For people clicking on it and going to the hair quiz is also just seen as like a base level success for us. But we also are seeing higher add to cart numbers and we're seeing like an increase in our overall AOV for the sessions that are showing those types of bars. And at this point, we did test them, but now they're just published in live because they were successful enough for us to just publish them.
26% increase in conversion rate, and then a 30% increase in add to cart, which, yeah, and we can assume that how that translates into top line revenue overall. And one other campaign that I'm curious about is the personalized recommendations. So that seems to make a lot of sense with your efforts with the quiz. I mean, you're seeing tremendous growth and increase in revenue. What's on your roadmap in terms of how you're going to test things, where you see opportunities, and how because
Sure.
fits into?
I mean, we're definitely exploring more and more applications of how we're using because one that we're seeing really strong results with is we have like everybody does, but you have a free shipping threshold and maybe you have a gift selector. And one thing that we have is always on is just showing at the PDP level, depending on like your cart value, how far away you are from free shipping or how far away you are from a free gift. We use it also. I really like it because especially for Shopify, it's not out of the box having either like a badge or a seal at the collection level. So I really like that I'm able to add those. Right now, I'm really using because as a way to elevate promotion at a lot of different steps of the journey. And one that we're actually testing out right now is the product recommendation at the PDP level. I actually have a promotion running right now that's you get like a free storage tray with purchases over X. And I have it set up so that if you have a cart that's qualifying, that it pops up on a hair care PDP for you to add that storage tray to cart. And I have some other messages like throughout the journey. So I think that there's a lot of endless applications and even we're now testing out too. We won a few more awards. So we're putting some text to support those awards on the PDP level and A B testing those to see what the conversion rate would be for those products with some of that supporting messaging. I think that honestly, in terms of testing, the tests are kind of limitless, but I think that one element that's starting to help me a lot with because that I wouldn't say is a limitation of Shopify. It depends on what apps and things you would want to use. But I really like that I'm able to schedule ahead of time, supporting messaging throughout the site for all of my sales. Actually replaced my top banner that is permanently on site, like my announcement bar, because now you guys have the rotating bar that mimics the same out of the box Shopify version. And it's just a lot easier because I'm able to schedule it, pause it, change it up when there's a sale, and I don't need to worry about like manually switching it through Shopify or finding like another app. So for me, the applications of because have become really helpful for me being able to schedule those things ahead of time and relying on them. It's super helpful for me.
Totally. Yeah. And scheduling means a lot coming into the Black Friday, Cyber
Yes.
Monday time.
Especially if,
You want to be very
like
specific.
myself, we operate on a global level too, so not having to be online at different regions midnights is very helpful. I mentioned before, like, a lot of USPs that we have, you know, definitive A/B testing and having definitive results on something is super powerful, and they're insights that you can use across all channels. So I think that that's something that, we're starting to see with combination of, because Shopify and Google Analytics data and a heat mapping tool that we're using, we're finally getting what I would say very clear data insight that we're able to inform like our other marketing, which is super powerful. And it makes us think that we should have started using some sort of A/B testing or personalization tool sooner.
I think in many ways you embody the customer that because tries to help, who is maybe has high ambitions, understands data driven in terms of the conceiving of the strategies and campaigns, uh, but then you want to be self-sufficient and move fast, and ultimately the end goal is to increase revenue, which you're doing. So thank you so much for sharing your story, your insights, your suggestions.